My mother-in-law smiled in my face and called me daughter, then I found her texts plotting to leave this parasite with nothing. The neon sign of the highway gas station buzzed loudly overhead, casting a sickly green glow across the dashboard. My husband, Peter, had just parked and walked inside the convenience store, leaving me alone in the heavy silence of the vehicle. We were halfway through a grueling 5-hour drive to visit my sister, and the tension between us had been thick for the past month. Peter's phone suddenly vibrated in the cup holder, the screen lighting up with a message from his mother, Barbara. Usually, I never snoop, but his secretive behavior made my hand reach out instinctively. I swiped the screen open, expecting a mundane question. Instead, the cruel words burned into my retinas. Barbara had written, "Peter, you know the house is in my name. I made sure this parasite gets nothing. Don't forget to delete the chat." My breath caught violently in my throat, a cold numbness spreading down to my fingertips. I stared blankly at the screen, my mind unable to process the word parasite. This vile insult was typed by the exact same woman who, just 48 hours ago, had stood in my kitchen wearing her floral apron, hugged me tightly, and presented me with a freshly baked pie. She had smiled warmly into my face, stroked my hair, and told me how much she loved me. Barbara had said, "Francesca, darling, you look so tired from your long shifts. Eat some pie, I made it just for my favorite daughter." I had hugged her back with tears in my eyes, genuinely believing I had finally found a maternal figure who loved me unconditionally. To read those words felt like dropping headfirst into a bottomless abyss of psychological hell. My hand shook violently as I tapped on his messaging app, digging deeper into the hidden archives he had neglected to clear. What I uncovered next shattered every fragment of my reality. There was a highly active, hidden chat thread with a contact named Chloe. Chloe was Peter's high school sweetheart, the woman who had broken his heart before moving away to Israel. According to the timestamps, Chloe had quietly flown back into the country exactly 1 month ago, and Peter had immediately run straight back into her arms. The chat was a horrific catalogue of emotional betrayal. There were dozens of messages from Peter telling Chloe how much he despised coming home to me, how he counted down the days until they could be together, and how deeply he still loved her. In one explicit text, Peter wrote, "I love you so much, Chloe. This marriage is a prison, but my mom is helping me arrange all the financials. Just be patient, my beautiful love, we will be together soon and she won't get a single penny from me when I kick her out." As I sat alone in the dark car, the devastating weight of their calculated conspiracy washed over me like ice. Over the past 3 years of our marriage, I had poured every cent of my savings and corporate bonuses into renovating and paying off the beautiful suburban house we lived in. I had worked exhausting 80-hour weeks as a senior accountant, contributing more than 70% of our household income, believing we were building a secure future. But Peter and Barbara had engineered a sinister financial trap. Right before our wedding, Barbara had insisted on legally purchasing the property under her own name, claiming it was a strategic move to secure a lower interest rate, promising to transfer the deed to us later. I had trusted them implicitly. Now, I was looking at the undeniable proof that they had deliberately kept the house in Barbara's name as an insurance policy, ensuring that when Peter abandoned me for his ex-girlfriend, I would be legally evicted and left destitute. I heard the heavy click of the gas station door opening. Through the windshield, I saw Peter walking back toward the car, looking completely carefree and unbothered by the fact that he was destroying my life. Panic surged through my body, but a primal, ice-cold survival instinct took over. I quickly used my own phone to take crystal-clear photographs of every text message from Barbara, every romantic confession to Chloe, and the detailed messages where they discussed hiding our assets. I wiped his screen against my sweater to remove any smudges and dropped the device back into the cup holder just seconds before Peter opened the door. Peter climbed into the seat and turned to me with a casual, normal smile that made my stomach churn. Peter said, "Sorry that took so long, honey. Are you doing okay?" I forced my lips into a tight smile and kept my voice level. I said, "No, thank you, Peter. I'm just a little tired from the work week." I think I'm going to close my eyes and rest until we get to my sister's place. He nodded, completely oblivious that his deception had been exposed. I played the part of the exhausted, oblivious wife perfectly for the remainder of that agonizing weekend trip. I smiled at family dinners, held his hand for photos, and quietly observed him checking his phone under the table, knowing he was messaging Chloe. The moment we returned home on Sunday night, my mind was entirely made up. I realized with absolute clarity that because the house was legally registered to his mother, I couldn't claim a single brick of the home I had spent years paying for and renovating. A legal battle over the real estate would drag on for years, drain my resources, and I would likely lose. They had locked me out of the real estate legally, planning to evict me and leave me with nothing so Peter could move his ex-girlfriend directly into my space. But I absolutely refused to be their victim. On Monday morning, Peter kissed my forehead, told me he loved me, and left for his corporate office. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I set my own ruthless plan into motion. Since I couldn't touch the house, I decided to secure exactly what I was owed in liquid assets. I logged into our joint banking portal, pulled up our shared accounts, and legally transferred exactly half of the money, representing my direct financial contributions, into a brand new, private bank account entirely under my name. Next, I walked upstairs to our master closet, bypassed his laundry, and opened our heavy electronic home safe. Using the physical backup key I had hidden away, I emptied absolutely everything inside. I took the massive emergency cash reserves we had built together, the untraceable gold bullion we had purchased as an investment, and every single piece of my valuable jewelry. I stripped the safe completely bare. I packed my suitcases with all of my clothes, my important documents, and my personal belongings, systematically loading them into the trunk of my car. I walked through the beautiful house one last time, looking at the expensive hardwood floors I had paid to install and the custom kitchen I had designed, feeling no sadness, only a profound sense of liberation. I left my set of house keys on the center of the kitchen island. Right next to the keys, I left a giant, colored printout of Barbara's text message calling me a parasite, along with a stapled log of his romantic messages to Chloe. I wrote a short, definitive note in thick black marker and placed it on top of the pile. I wrote, "The parasite has left. Enjoy your empty safe and your empty life." I drove away from that suburban prison, immediately blocked Peter and Barbara on every social media platform, and moved into a beautiful apartment much closer to my sister. Months passed, and the poetic justice of the situation unfolded exactly as it was meant to. A relationship built on lies and stolen treasure cannot survive the real world. Without my salary to subsidize their lifestyle, and with the home safe drained, Peter and Chloe began drowning in financial stress. Chloe quickly realized Peter wasn't the wealthy catch he pretended to be while secretly using my income. The fantasy of their reunited love evaporated under the weight of mounting utility bills, property taxes Barbara couldn't pay alone, and constant arguments. 6 months after I walked out, Chloe packed her bags, flying back to Israel and leaving Peter completely broke. One rainy evening, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered, hearing Peter's voice cracking with pathetic tears. Peter sobbed, "Francesca, please talk to me. Chloe left, she ruined me. You were the only woman who ever loved me. Please come back." I took a deep breath, letting the serenity of my new life wash over me. I said, "You and your mother can keep that house, Peter. You deserve each other." I hung up and blocked the number permanently. I am finally free, thriving, and fully aware that the sweetest smiles always hide the sharpest teeth.